All right, Larry Kruger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er mock draft as we're mock draft Monday. Our fifth edition of the mock draft. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle. We're also brought to you by Marin Autoglass, marinautoglass.com, 415-883-3030. Great company. And Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. Call Anthony Catania, 831-521-5264, and Underdog Fantasy. Check the link in the description. Use the promo code Krug, and they will match you up to your first $100. All right. It is time for Mock Draft 5.0. So we bring in the mock draft simulator. We'll go NFL mock draft simulator from Pro Football Network, just because it's real easy to do. And here we go. We're going to go fast, and away we go. Now, as far as what are we looking for in this mock draft, we're not going to do trades per se. We're just going to pick. We're going to pick in the Niners selections. And we're not going to work any trades for Surtain or anything like that. We're just going to pick straight out. And you say, well, what are the Niners' needs? I mean, that's really the question. Do the Niners have a bunch of needs? Do they have some needs? What do you view the 49ers' main needs as in the upcoming draft? Well, I look at it a couple different ways. I say they don't need a quarterback. They don't need a running back, but man, if there's one there that's special, I would not hesitate. They don't need a receiver, but I think it might be time to add either a speed receiver or maybe McCaffrey's brother. They definitely need a tight end. They definitely need an offensive tackle. They could use either a center or a guard for sure. They need a defensive tackle. They need a defensive end. You can never have enough pass rushers, so you could even go with a couple defensive ends. They could use one linebacker. They could definitely use a safety or two, and they could use a true number one corner if they could find it, or if nothing else, more depth on the corner. So that's what I think they need. And let's just go right into the mock draft and see who's available. All right, they're picking at 31. The best player on the board, according to this, is Byron Murphy, the second from Texas. He's explosive, great pass rusher. There's also TJ Tampa, Zach Frazier. I'll look at the trade offers, but as I said, we're not going to do any trades. So, yeah, none of those trade offers are all that enticing anyway. So, to me, this is a decision between O-line, D-line, corner. So, I mean, or I guess wide receiver. You could go Byron Murphy, top defensive tackle on the board. You could definitely go with TJ Tampa, who's a big physical corner. Zach Frazier, who's a difference maker at center. Aruka Rororo from Clemson, who I think is fantastic. Edgerrin Cooper is a great linebacker. Malachi Corley's that receiver. Michael Hall is a little bit down the line there, but I really like him. I think I'm going with Zach Frazier, the center from West Virginia. I think it's time to really address the offensive line. This guy's a dominator. He's 310 pounds. He obliterates people at the point of attack. If you want to run the ball up the gap in the A gap, you got to have a dominant center. This guy's a dominant center. So I'm going to say, Zach Frazier. When you can be dominant in the interior, man, that's a nice place to be. And I'll take Zach Frazier to start it off. All right, now we're in round two. Round two, pick number 63. I'm going to reject all the trades. Though this one looks good, 63 to 66. That's a nice trade, but let's see what the next one is. Yeah. I might normally do the 63 to 66 trade and move from 176 to 127, but I'm just going to reject the trade just to keep this a little cleaner and just go a little bit more with just best player available. And I like Michael Hall from Ohio State. I think this guy's really, really good. I think he's going to be a stud. If you get Michael Hall and you get Zach Frazier, I think you're getting two dominating interior players. And so I'm taking Michael Hall. I love Michael Hall. And now we're going to pick in the 90s. Now we're at 94. And let's see who's the best player on the board. Now in this thing, you could still get Michael Penix, which seems really, really ridiculous. But you've already started your offensive line. You could go defensive line again. There's Mason Smith. There's some interesting players here. Javon Bullard's a good safety from Georgia. Trevin Wallace is a phenomenal athlete, linebacker from Kentucky. Kenley Jackson is a one technique, nose guard, but you're pretty loaded in the interior. James Williams is interesting because he's a linebacker who, has some safety traits and is very special. So, Williams I'd be looking really hard at Williams here. Mason Smith from LSU, really good football player as well. Malik Washington is a tremendous wide receiver, but I think this is an offensive line time, and I'm going Mason McCormick. I'm going interior offensive line. To me, if you get Frazier and McCormick, you now have a dominating duo. And I love McCormick. I think he's really, really good. All right, so now we're back on the board on number 124, and there's some interesting picks here. Now, Malik Washington is one of my favorite players. He's a 5'8" receiver, but man, the guy is just really, really good. He's a really good player as a 5'8" receiver. There's Ray Davis, who's a great running back, all-day Ray. There's Cam Hart, who's a corner from Notre Dame, who I really like. Javon Solomon, an edge rusher from Troy that I think is fantastic. But this is a lot about, and then there's Jonah Ellis. You know what? I'm going Jonah Ellis. I can't pass on Jonah Ellis. He's just too good of a edge rusher. And I'm up again, and I pick again here in a minute. So, normally I would make that trade a 3-for-1, 132 for 146, 182, and 252. But we'll just reject all trades. And so now let's take a look at our picks so far. You've got the dominating center, dominating defensive tackle, big, strong, physical right guard, and an edge rusher. So you've gone D-line twice and O-line twice. At 132, the running back's intriguing. Cam Hart's intriguing. You could use Javon Solomon's very intriguing because he's a terrific pass rusher. Tyrese Knight's a great linebacker with speed. Isaiah Davis is the South Dakota State running back is really interesting. And I might go with him here. You also have Luke McCaffrey staring you right in the face right there. Kenny Logan's a hitter at safety. Elijah Jones. But I'm going offensive line again. I'm going Javon Foster. Javon Foster from Missouri. Just too good of an offensive lineman. I think that guy could start up, in front of Colton McKivitz, maybe as a rookie at right tackle. And if not start, he could be the long-term backup to Trent Williams at left tackle. So there's that. So now I'm at pick 135, and I got a lot of those same guys on the board. I think here is where I might go Luke McCaffrey. I'll go McCaffrey right there. Now you got a receiver who's a sticky hands receiver, runs sub 4.5. And now I'm back on the board at the end of the 5th round. And let's see. What have we done? We've done O-line, D-line, O-line, D-line, O-line, wide receiver. So we're done with the O-line. Now it's D-line or other needs. So let's take a look at the defense and just take a look who's the best defensive lineman on the board. Tackle, those guys are a little bit down the board. And I like Muhammad Kamara a ton. So I'm going Muhammad Kamara. I think that's a great 5th round pick. Kamara is a outstanding edge rusher. Only thing he lacks is inch or two of height, and who cares? What does it matter if you're 6'1", 260 as opposed to 6'3", 260? That guy's got bend and motor and all kinds of things. He's a tremendous talent. So I'm going there. Let's go all and see. You could go, you got Joe Milton sitting there, but you don't need a quarterback. You got Elafosio from Washington, who might be the fastest linebacker in the country. I like Caden Wallace, the big offensive lineman, but you've gone offensive line enough. Who else? Aeneas Smith's a good player from Texas A&M, but I don't know, not there. Jaden Crumedy, it's like Mississippi State has produced some amazing defensive tackles through the years, and he definitely could help them out. Let's see, corner. Who's the best corners out there? I like Marcellus Dial quite a bit. I like Quantez Stiggers. I like Kamal Haddon. I like Dwight McLaughlin. Those are all pretty good players right there. They're a little thin there. Let's take a look at linebacker. Linebacker is intriguing too. Let me see how many more picks the Niners have here. They have 1, 2, 3. They need another linebacker. The linebacker that to me is super intriguing is this kid, Kari Coleman. So I'm taking him, even though he's listed at 304 on here. We're at 2 whatever. Kari Coleman is a former TCU D lineman, defensive end who transferred to Ole Miss, and he's got tremendous speed. And he's really fun to watch. To me, speed at linebacker is something that is, especially if you have good players that can play, that's always nice. Let's go all. See who the best players on the board here. I think I'm probably going to go here with, let's see who the best players on the board are. This one's difficult, but it's hard to say like what's the best direction here for the 49ers. They probably could use a safety. They definitely could use one more corner. You've got a couple, edge rushers. You got some linemen. You got maybe there's a backup. There's another group of backup defensive linemen that are pretty good. But I think I'm in this situation. I'm going. I think I'm going to go on offense with the big tight end from Furman. I like Mason Pline. I think he's a really good player from Furman. 6'8", mechanical engineering, 10-inch hands, former basketball player, can jam on the break. I mean, he really looks athletic. So I'm going Mason Pline there. And now I'm at my final pick of the draft. And this is tough because do you go best available? I mean, Jaden Crumedy, there's great history at Mississippi State as far as defensive tackles. Darius Muasau is a really solid linebacker from UCLA. He's just a little undersized. Frank Crum is a big offensive tackle, but I mean, I don't know if you have any more spots there for offensive linemen to actually make your roster. Nathaniel Watson was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, but do you need a linebacker? Probably not. There's Evan Anderson. There's Marcus Harris from Auburn, who I really like a lot. But I think I'm thinking deep speed here on off. I'm thinking speed on offense. And let me go to the wide receivers. To me, the speed at wide receiver is something the Niners have got to have. And I'm going to take Tyler Harrell from Miami. So there you have it. Mock draft 5.0. You started with an offensive center in Zach Frazier. I think he's a plug and play guy. I think he starts over Jake Brendel week 1. Then there's Michael Hall Jr. I think Michael Hall Jr. plays as a rookie a lot. Mason McCormick. I think McCormick's better than what they have at right tackle or right guard right now. So you have a right guard. Then you got Jonah Ellis, who's a very refined pass rusher with a lot of moves. You add Javon Foster, who might be able to step in front of Colton McKivitz and play at right tackle. You got McCaffrey you've added to your receiving core. who's got a little bit of speed, a little possession receiver, but also with 4.4 speed. Muhammad Kamara gives you two really fast edge rushers. Kari Coleman gives you a real fast linebacker with a lot of upside. Mason Pline is a gigantic tight end who I think is a real sleeper. And then I'll take Tyler Harrell, the burner from Louisville, Miami, Alabama. This guy runs in the 4.2s, 4.3s. He's a burner. Danny Gray hasn't been able to stay healthy. Maybe Tyler Harrell can. He would give them that vertical threat in the passing game that today they just don't have. All right, we'll stop sharing. We'll go back to our main screen here. We are brought to you by Aura. Now a word from our sponsor, Aura. Have you ever typed your name on the internet and seen all of your private information is online? Are you tired of receiving tons of spam calls from random numbers? Are you receiving more and more of these as time has gone on? Well, that's where Aura, the sponsor of today's show, can really help you out. Data brokers sell your information to scammers and spammers and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, your email, your home address, all your records, your health records, who your relatives are. It's all out there. That's why I've been using Aura. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it also protects me from hackers who could use the information to help them access my social media accounts, my bank accounts, or any other sensitive information. Aura also does so much more to protect me and my family from online threats I can't see. I get other features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. It's really easy to set up. And best of all, I get everything at one affordable price. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to the link in the description to start your 2-week free trial. All right, welcome back to the Krug Show. Thanks to Aura for sponsoring our video. Once again, we're going heavy O-line. Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, and Javon Foster. We went D-line with Michael Hall Jr. and Jonah Ellis and Muhammad Kamara. We got McCaffrey's brother, who I really like as a player. Mason Pline, who I think is a sleeper tight end. Kari Coleman, who I think is a really sleeper linebacker from Ole Miss. And then Tyler Harrell, who is just an absolute burner, a guy who can take the top off the defense and maybe could be a return man. So what they didn't get done in this draft, you didn't get a running back, but maybe you could get Frank Gore afterwards. I would love to get Blake Corum. Blake Corum would be the guy. If I could trade back in the first 10 spots and pick up and move up in the third, I would love to see if I could get Zach Frazier, Michael Hall Jr., and Blake Corum 1, 2, 3 at the start of these mock drafts. Then you get, an all-pro center, I think, a Pro Bowl running back, and a very good active defensive lineman all in the top 3 picks. That would be a terrific start. But I like this mock draft as well. It kind of sets up for the Niners to maybe get Frank Gore as an undrafted free agent running back when the draft ends, which would be nice as well. And overall, I think it addresses the needs. It gives them big time infusion of talent on the offensive line. It gives them a couple really good edge rushers and a D lineman that I think is a dominant player. And I think Harrell as a burner and Pline as a receiving tight end could really add some dimensions to this offense. All right, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Aura for sponsoring Mock Draft 5.0. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.